Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm Eric, the dude who grows food, and today I'm taking a break from harvesting to shoot what is going to be basically just a random garden update on today, which is October 24th, 2025. And I really don't know why I want to shoot this. I guess I just want to see what's going on in the garden through the lens and share it out there. So let's get into it. Starting here on the outside of the garden, we have my compost area. I've had 4 deliveries of wood chip recently. A lot of that is going to go to actually mulching the foundation of the house. Some of it's going to go to the pathways, and then up in the little orchard area that I'm trying to develop, I need to finish mulching that out. I've actually moved probably a couple thousand square feet into that area from here. It's been a good workout between April and now, just throwing about 10 bucket loads every once in a while and just walking it over. But this is what I started doing last year for the compost. It's a staging area. I think it's probably about 12 by 12. And I take my deciduous leaf fall and my final cuttings of grass, and I just kind of layer it in there, not really with a ratio, just to kind of get it to sit and have it kind of stew until it's time to run it through this system. Probably, I don't know, I might kick it up in about March, because I'm working through this right now in flipping. I've got all of this about finished. This bin is being filled right now from this bin, which means I can turn this one and turn that one. Because what I do want to do is I do want to get maybe one last full load of material in that first bin before I call it a season on composting. We haven't had our first frost yet, but the nights are definitely hitting the high 30s. Today's actually kind of toasty. We've had some low 70s, but we're about to come into a stretch on Monday where we're supposed to get rain. Kind of hope we do. We really haven't had much in the last, 3 months. We were really soaking wet from January until the end of July, and then August, September, most of October. I think we had one decent rain that was a couple of inches, but other than that, not much to talk about. Walking through the garden gate, these first 5 beds over here are all garlic. I think it was October 15th I planted everything. There was a random bucket of habaneros. I am just way too deep into those things, and I don't know what to do with them all. I'm fermenting and eating as aggressively as I can. I've got them posted for sale on Facebook Marketplace. I got some bites earlier this season, but nothing really the last month or so. But there's a lot of good food on those plants. You'll see in a minute. First bed here, this is the last sowing of daikon with the exception of these first few plants. These are some mustard plants. I actually had a random daikon bolt, maybe even 2 of them out of this bed. This typically doesn't happen with daikon in the fall. They usually size up without having an issue. Yeah, there's one more there laying on the ground. But I guess 2 for the 500 that I have. That's not bad. The broccoli is doing well. We are starting to head up a little bit. I think it's going to be a pretty good haul coming out of there. First time I grew this variety, it's Calabrese. Yeah, I just picked up a pack of seeds and just ran with it. Not sure what to expect, but it'll be something. Pathway brassicas and lettuce from self-seeding in the spring. My youngest bed of beets, they are looking nice and healthy. I'm happy with how that's coming along. Another bed of daikon. I've been harvesting off this bed a little bit too. Pathway cilantro, the other bed of beets that I had that I sowed in the fall. This one's a little more mature, and we can see got some good sized beets there. I would say that's probably about a baseball size. I'm happy with that, and it showed me that I don't necessarily need to plant as heavy in the spring as I have been, because I still have a bed full of spring beets that are just getting bigger and bigger. They're not getting really tough to eat, so I can still peel them and eat them just fine, but it tells me that I can mature a beet in the fall beautifully, so that I just don't have to carry 2 beds in the spring next time. Sugar snap peas. I've been eating off of those quite a bit. They haven't been producing that well. They might really want some water because I haven't watered them since they've grown, but they're not really flagging on me, so I'm happy with that. But they didn't germinate as well as I wanted to. My oldest bed of daikon, I'm harvesting off that one quite a bit. I've got a few monsters in there that I can harvest. One of my goals right now is to harvest and cut up and freeze at least 1 gallon size Ziploc bag a day of produce, and one of the easiest ones to do that with is daikon. I can pull 3.5 pounds out between 2 or 3 radishes, cut them up, probably throw them in a bag within 5 minutes, versus peppers where I can get, half of a 5-gallon bucket. Breaking them down and getting them to freeze takes a lot more time. And speaking of peppers, this is my my bell pepper bed. It's still going strong. I actually harvested 2 5-gallon buckets a couple of hours ago off of this, and I packed up one for the food pantry. And continuing through my maze of cilantro and mustards, Brussels sprouts. So the plants are looking good. Now, at the end, those are not Brussels sprouts. That's all pathway mustard from earlier in the season. The spring, the plants I had back there, they went to seed, they sowed in the fall, and now I've got way too much mustard back there, but it's pretty to look at. But the Brussels sprouts, they're not doing anything other than growing at this point. I don't know if they're going to mature, how to carry them through the winter. I don't think they're going to give sprouts in time before the freeze hits them, so if I don't do a good job of keeping them protected, I probably won't wind up getting off of them. But if I carry them to the spring, they may actually finish out then. I'm just not sure. Empty bed needs compost. Really didn't want to do this project until I cleaned up my asparagus bed next door. I think in a couple of months they should all really die back to where I can just hack them back at the base. Maybe top that bed with some more compost. Burying the grass clippings that I have as the mulch, which should help them break down even faster. And then I can compost this bed, raising them both up a little bit to give me a nice clean pathway for some more wood chip. My blackberries are all doing beautifully. I think they're going to go to sleep here in the next month or so. And yeah, I got the pruning done pretty well. I don't see anything too leggy. In the back corner by the corner of the fence, that one plant that's against the fence got way out of control, so he's going to be a bit of a monster for me to try to harvest on in the spring. I may trim him back a bit in the winter when he goes dormant, just to give myself some walking room, but I haven't decided yet. Swinging around, the blueberries are all putting on some growth after their harvest this season, and I think they're going to do okay next year. Again, nothing to write home about. They're just not growing grand yet, but again, I don't know much about blueberries. I still haven't taken the time to really dial in my expectation and production methods on this. So I'll have to put it on the list to learn more about. This was a fun little raised bed here. This is, I think, 2 by 10. It was a tabletop that I had, with the tabletop being corrugated metal roofing just as a bench for a temporary greenhouse that I had. And when I took the top off the table, I saw that and I'm like, oh, I have a garden bed here. And I saw this spot and I'm like, oh, I have a space here for it. And I experimented by just putting it on the ground right on top of this wood chip. I didn't pull anything back. And then on top of that, I mixed together fresh cut grass and deciduous leaf fall earlier this year. It may even be one of my garden tours. I should probably check that out. And I loaded it up with that just to see if it would decompose in place and kind of break down the wood chip. And then on top of that, I put maybe an inch of semi-finished compost maybe about a month or 2 ago. And so imagine nothing in there is probably in touch with any native soil. It's all pulling off of decomposed and semi-decomposed and undecomposed organic matter. And look at the results. This is lettuce and mustards. These are just looking phenomenal. These are just transplants. I'm thrilled with how that looks. It kind of goes to show the power of organic matter. If you don't have really healthy soil to start with, if you build something high enough with organic matter, that tells me you can produce pretty well. This is a bed of leftover brassicas on the front. How cool is this? For those of you who don't know what this is tatsoi. It kind of grows like bok choy, small leaves, almost spoon-shaped. I need to probably harvest this one out and just all in one fell swoop. I used to harvest it the last couple of years when I grew it by just kind of getting rid of the lower leaves, but I may just take the whole plant out. I haven't quite decided yet. Bok choy neighbor, and all those flowers you see right there, bolted bok choy. I cannot get bok choy to not bolt. I may have to decide to, I may dump my seed that I have right now and just change varieties of bok choy, because I know there's more than one variety. So whatever variety I have seems to just not, it's temperamental for my climate. Those are turnips in the back. They are not as mature as the turnips in that bed, but this bed, getting back to it, this is my watermelon radish. These are doing beautiful. Now I did a video, I think I published it out on this past Wednesday. Today's Friday the 24th, explaining why I think it's an awesome crop. And I'm hoping I'm not shadowing this, but these are just gorgeous. There's just so many of them, and they're all, gosh, probably about 1.5 pounds each. So again, I could take 3 of those, chop them up, and easily fill up a Ziploc bag as one of my little projects, and it'd take me 5 to 10 minutes. Turnips, I harvested my first one about 1.5 weeks ago. It was delicious, the greens were great, and I need to bring some more in this coming Monday. And here's a bit of a heartbreak. All my lettuce out of this bed is bolting. I was so proud of myself earlier this fall, late summer, for having this bed just ready to go. And I'm like, oh, I got my timing down on lettuce. And clearly I don't. I was way too early because, well, this lettuce shouldn't bolt in the fall. This looks like a springtime bed that's coming into summer. So yeah, I screwed that one up pretty good. And then we've got a bed of brassicas. Now, the only one I think I lost, I've got some mustard bolting, but I don't expect the red Russian kale or the Cherokee blue mustard to bolt, but the green wave mustard looks like it's bolting. But that bed's going to stand beautifully until it gets hit by a frost, and then I'll lose most of it. The kale will probably last longer than the mustards when it gets hit with some cold weather. This is kind of a failed carrot bed. I say failed. I mean, I got a little bit of germination up in the front, and in the back you can see I got some plants, but yeah, it's kind of disappointing. I really thought I was going to do better than that because my initial germination looked good, and I kept it wet, and then all of a sudden one day I come out, my seedlings are all gone for the most part. I don't know if it's because I had a bird come through and just damage it, or if even despite my watering, they just still dried out. Kind of a bummer. Rogue bok choy showed up. That's a self-seed from probably the spring. Yeah, free bok choy. This bed didn't do anything, and it's because the okra bed next door, which is really coming to an end now, was really shading it out when the leaves were heavier, so I really didn't do anything with that bed. Plus the foliage was really coming over into the bed for me to, I couldn't walk down the pathway to harvest off this because the pathway was just crowded out by the foliage, so I was basically walking in the bed to harvest that side of the okra. Pathway Cherokee blue mustard, just gorgeous. I honestly, if I didn't even sow that brassica bed, I would still have more mustard than I can eat because of all the self-seeding. Not to mention I carried the Swiss chard forward from the spring. I haven't done anything. I have eaten off these plants quite a bit. I need to get back out here and clean them up yet again. They don't bolt. They're part of the beet family, Beta vulgaris. It's a biennial, so next year, if they stayed in the ground, they would throw up their flower stalk. Carried this carrot bed from the spring, and it's still going strong. They're still very edible. A couple of them are splitting. A couple of them have bolted, even though they're supposed to be biennial as well, flowering the second year. Yeah, I can still pull carrots off there all day. Green beans, no comment. A lot of self-seeded flowers from this bed. You can still see we got some flowers sitting there in the back. No more marigolds, they're all gone. But zinnias and cosmos, actually they may all be zinnias at this point. The cosmos might be all gone. But they're still pretty to look at. We still have a few pollinators floating around, so I am not gonna bother them. Pathway brassica, I got no idea what kind this is. I've never planted this before, so it looks like it is a hybrid of some sort, a crossbreed of some sort between something that I did let go to seed. No clue what it is. I can cut it and steam it just fine though. This is my pink eye purple hull southern peas, and I have actually started harvesting on these. They are easy to see when they are starting to get ready for harvest time because they will go completely purple. Some of these you're going to see still green on the bottom, and that's not going to be mature enough. I think once they get to like a really, what I'm seeing is once they get to a real good purple stage, you got a few days before they start getting papery. Once they get papery, the seed's probably going to be a little too firm for fresh eating. It probably requires more cooking, or let it fully dry out for save seed, which I'm doing with some, or you can let it dry out and then use it just as a dried legume. More Pathway choy. My one sage. I actually cultivated that myself from seed, and I may turn this into an herb bed. I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking it might be. I need to do some research on what kind of herbs I actually want to grow. I clearly don't need to grow cilantro because that's just invading my pathway, because I planted it in the end of one of those beds, 2 years ago, and it will be forever there. I'm not even gonna bother trying to figure out how to get rid of it because it's easy to to harvest out of there. Another bolted bok choy. This is a pathway bok choy. Hello, beautiful. A bed that needs compost, and this is the habanero bed. I did a video on habaneros as a spotlight a couple of weeks ago. I'm brokenhearted that I planted so much because there's more than I can use there, and I can't seem to sell it. And I don't know anybody who really wants to eat hot peppers the way I do. I have a bit of a compulsion to grow more, even though I don't necessarily need more. I can't seem to stop myself. So I'll have to figure out how to kind of rein that back a bit so I don't have so much waste. Because I just can't use this much. I can't believe I'm saying that, because as much as I eat. And then we've got our 8 beds of strawberries. I did a great the Great Strawberry Migration video a few weeks ago as well. These had sweet potatoes and potatoes. That all came out. These plants went in. And I did do what I said I could do. This was originally 2 rows down the bed, about 1 foot apart. And then between the 2 rows, sort of as a center grid. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4. Then right between, I ran another row down the middle. That's not going to be too crowded for strawberries. They're going to be fine. And I'm really happy with how they're setting up. I've had to replace some here and there, and I still have some strawberry plants in reserve. They came out of the garlic beds that you saw earlier in this video. Yeah, I'm not, if I need to replace more, I still have some back there that I can use. But I think we're going to get a nice little haul of strawberries this year for 8 beds. It's half the beds I had last year, maybe even less than half. But I probably grew twice as many as I needed. Plus, I've got a lot more blackberries coming in, and we only have one 10 cubic foot freezer for berries, so I can't let them dominate with just one type. 2 failed green bean beds. Moving along. This was the aforementioned beet bed from the spring. I mean, you can see the snowman-like shape. So what basically I think happened is, in the spring, it grew most of its size. And then this extra piece here, this is edible beet here, but all that scarring, and you really can't see it on there, but that is all leaf scar. So all that you see of these leaves, they were all here, and they've just fallen off over time. So the leaf keeps coming out of the top. But yeah, I'm deep in beets. Now, they store beautifully in the winter. I just pop them out of the ground right before our first really hard freeze, and I throw them into the barn with like a moving blanket covering them to keep them from getting hit with too much freeze. I ate them that way last winter until they ran out. I don't think I lost many to rot without having a root cellar. That was the best idea I had, and it seemed to work out really well for beets. It worked well for the daikons as well, but a little less so because that's a little less starchy and a little more watery. Another failed bean bed. I may do one more harvest off these, but I think I let a lot of them go to seed. Because if my seed stock was bad this year, then the healthy plants, I'm hoping to see, if I save seed from that they will produce next year better. I don't know what my issue with green beans was this year. I'm hoping it was seed stock, because this is fresh, and I feel confident that if I save it properly, my results next year will be a lot better than they were this year. Asparagus bed number 2, I've got 6 decent plants in there, and I'll probably let them stay as such. I'll chop them back in December as well. And this mess is my, I was about to say my failed attempt at trellising, but I actually kept up with the trellising and the pruning beautifully earlier in the season, right until I realized that the tomato plant was a crossbred mutant. And I say that in the most loving way, because the form was all off. The tomato wasn't what it was supposed to be, and I said, why am I going to put this kind of effort into maintaining the plant if I'm not going to save the seed from it? And I have harvested plenty of cherry tomatoes off of it, so it's not like the food's going to waste, but my efforts kind of I gave up once I realized that the pruning practice wasn't going to work the way I wanted it to. But happy that I learned a pretty good method for pruning and trellising. This is my one fig that I have in the garden here. This guy started it was a cutting that I took early in the winter, and he got to about yay tall before I moved him out here with a pretty good root system. And that was back at I transplanted him the day of my March garden tour, which was March 26th. So that is, 7 months to the day? And he's probably, for me, about chest height, so about 4 feet. Yeah. looking good. I'm gonna probably do some pruning on him come February once he's before he breaks dormancy. My 3 Aronia bushes, they produced nicely for me. I didn't take as much from them as I should have, but I took more from them this year than I did from the prior year, so I got better about paying attention to this corner. This is the northwest corner of the garden, and it really doesn't get as much attention as the bed space out there. So I do need to make more of an effort to work my way up in this direction. And I did, so I am getting, like I said, I'm getting better, but I wouldn't classify it as good. I've got to get in here and clear this Bermuda grass and the weeds out of here. That's a nice little cool season project for me to do. And then we've got the elderberry. I think this is Bob Gordon and Wildwood. And I didn't take as much from them this year as I thought I was going to. I could have harvested more. I did get a few gallon size Ziploc bags in the freezer. And honestly, it's not my favorite berry. I'd much rather more strawberry and blackberry and blueberry than this. I even prefer the Aronia. But this was great for the birds because they picked off the ground for all those berries as well. But I am going to propagate the heck out of this. I think I'm actually going to take them down to the ground come February. And all of this wood, I'm going to stick. I'll rooting hormone. I'll stick. I mean, how many? Gosh. I don't even know how many plants I can get out of that. A few hundred at least. If there's a market locally for it, that's great because I've everything I sold in excess of my cost. I bought and am buying pantry staples for the food pantry over at the local library, and that's been a fun little thing to do. And then we have an empty space here that I need to fill up with something. I was thinking earlier in the season that I was maybe like a gomi berry or something like that, but I'd have to, special order that from somewhere because I don't think I'm going to find that in any like local nursery or big box store. I could put another fig there of a different variety. I may do that because I was looking at Olympian as a variety because I know that's one that grows in my climate and it actually matures after Celeste, which is what that one is and what those up there are. And I wouldn't mind getting into a few more varieties, not getting deep into the exotics, but just finding ones that really work for this climate and extending my my season and getting some different flavors. Definitely not going to put blackberries there because I've already got the blackberry row here. And this is looking phenomenal and also a little intimidating because earlier in my garden tours, I was kind of bragging about how, I was going to grow these things out and keep them nice and compact. I wasn't going to need a trellis. And man, I just totally blew it on that. So now you can see I've got some T-posts, I've got some wires running. I didn't even have enough to finish it out. That gate that I put at the north corner so I could access my water is now useless because I can't get through my blackberries. So, but here's the good thing about it. I'm going to be swimming in berries next season. And I can't ask for any more than that. I love my berries. So I've got to, when it comes time next year, late May, I'll start over there. I will harvest blackberries, and then all of these, and I will probably be able to fill up the freezer in 2 days. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and post below. If you like what you saw, give it a like. If you want to share it, feel free to share. And until the next time, see ya. Take care.